Yes,
Okay,
I see
perfect.
your Outlook. Yes.
Outlook. Yep. All right. So we're going to start off here in Outlook. Now, there are two separate sort of parts of Act4mail. There's the part that's built into Outlook that we're going to be going over here, and there's the part that's sort of a standalone product that allows you to do the mail merges. Okay. So we'll cover both today in this training here today. Now, and as Ken was saying, just to follow up on this, you can have Act installed as a desktop version with this if you wanted to as well. It's not going to interfere with it at all. You can also have Act for Outlook installed here if you wanted it to. I disabled mine just for sake of simplicity here, so it wasn't confusing people. But perhaps if somebody's working in multiple databases, that might be a good a good situation where they have a desktop database that they utilize. Maybe it's just a different company or personal database or whatever, and they want that recorded with Act4mail. And then they have an APC database that they can use. I'm sorry, the desktop would be Act for Outlook, and then the APC database would be recorded with Act4mail. So it is a unique situation. It's not going to be for everybody, obviously, but it is technically doable to have both of them set up and pointing to different databases, obviously. So just want to let you know that that's doable. So first thing, let's just sort of go through the settings real quick. It's very similar to Act for Outlook. You'll see the same icons in Outlook here that we see for Act for Outlook. It's just obviously different terminology. Instead of Act for Outlook, we have Act for Mail. So we go into Act for Mail settings. Here it's going to be a little bit different, obviously, because we're not pointing to a local database pad file. We're looking for that web API URL, and we even list if you're using APC, we list all of those down here, so it's very easy to get that the API there for you. Just click on it, and it populates the web API URL up top.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
that
for those
feature has
self-hosted,
only been added in recent weeks, so that's to make it handy like Linktivity.
yep, and it's awesome. So instead of having to copy and paste, and one of the big issues we were having was people were copy and pasting. Maybe they were copy and pasting from the website or from our website, wherever, and they were copy and pasting this URL. There would be a space at the end of the I there, okay? And when you put it in here, you couldn't see it, and actually it would actually allow you to log in here. But then when they actually went to send an email or create activity from an email, they would get all kinds of errors related to the API, and it was related to basically just that space in the URL there. So by doing this, clicking here eliminates that as an option from being an issue there. The Act database name, that's pulled from the database name of their APC database. So if I bring my Act database screen over here, the easiest way to get that is to go to your little question mark icon in the top right for help. Go to About Act, and right here is going to be your database name. You click that, and as you see there, it actually copies it. You click it, and it copies it to the keyboard. You don't have to highlight and right-click and copy. Just click that link. It copies it to the clipboard, and then you um, paste it into this database name here. Username and password. You need to have that information. Okay, so obviously the username is going to be an email address, and the password is going to be whatever their password is. And then you click login, logs you into that database. History recording. This is going to be similar to the Act for Outlook that we have here, so we can choose what do you want your history type to be, from subject only all the way down to attach with attachment. Okay. All right. History linking. You can link the recorded emails to associated contacts company and/or opportunities automatically for you. Um, Similarly here, if you have multiple email accounts, they'll be listed here. So if you need to exclude, let's say, a general email account or maybe a personal email account, you can exclude them. They will all be listed here if you have multiple email accounts. You don't want to exclude your one and only email account because that will then not record anything. So make sure that you have your main email account, whatever that is, checked there. So I'm using just our generic blackcola@keystroke.ca for this demo. That's why you see that email address down there. Incoming messages. This will allow you to, if anything is coming into your email, you want that to record to that history, you would check that box, and then it automatically records to the history in Act4Web. You can also ignore certain people's domains. You would just hit the plus sign, add your domain here. So if I didn't care about anybody from keystroke.ca to be attached, I would add that domain. So anything people sending me from keystroke or at keystroke.ca, it's going to ignore that and not attach it to the history if I had this checked up here. Okay. And I always tell people about this as far as should we attach incoming emails or should we not? If you respond to here's sort of my rule of thumb. If you respond to the majority of your emails that you receive, I would say no, because then your incoming email is gonna get attached as well as all those replies. Okay, so now you're double dipping all over the place. And your history is getting really filled up. Now, if you're a company or a user where maybe you receive emails but you only reply to half or less than half, then in that case you may want to attach the incoming ones because maybe you're sort of a call center getting emails in. Then you might want to have those automatically attached. So it's really a personal preference and depends on how they use their email system internally. You could set it so that they don't check for updates on startup. If you want to do the updates, sort of as one time, if you want to check for them, so to speak, versus it checking automatically for them throughout that. Okay, so those are those changes there. Any questions before we move on? Just sort of any questions on these 4 tabs as far as the setup of Act4mail? Okay, right, so save and close. And if you have made any changes there, you'd have to close, just similar to Act for Outlook. Anytime you make any changes to your settings, you need to close Outlook and open it back up for those changes to take effect. Okay, I've already set it up and rebooted, so I won't have to worry about that in our case here today. The Act database settings, this is where you choose the fields when you're doing any kind of contact syncing or creating a contact in Act. This is going to be the data that's going to copy from the Outlook field to the Act field, okay? And it's going to dupe on the email address, the main email address there. All right. The activity settings, this is going to be when you create an activity, what do you want that default to be when creating a new activity from an email? Okay, you click your activity type here and you can choose whatever you want that to be. You can change it once you get in the activity screen, but this will be the default one that pops up whenever doing that particular call. This one here is sort of important here. This automatically show the create activity window. So what that does is, let's say somebody outside your organization sends you an Outlook invite for a meeting next week, and you accept it. Once you accept it, if you have this checked, that create activity window for Act automatically pops up, lets you schedule it in Act, so it's already in the Act database. Okay. So for those people who are doing calendar sync, though, I would suggest leaving this unchecked because they're going to be in your Outlook, and then they're going to sync to your Act anyway. Okay. So if you're not syncing Act and Outlook as far as calendar, you may want to have this checked, because then anytime you get an invite, that create activity pops up, you enter any additional details, and then it goes to your Act calendar, as well as already being on your Outlook calendar because you've accepted it as an invite from that person's meeting. Okay. History settings, this is going to be the history type that's going to be recorded for any incoming emails. So you can set that. By default, it's email auto attached, but you can, if you want it to be something else, you can choose something from that drop down. Opportunity settings, this is something we've added, I think it was version 8 if I'm not mistaken, where you can create an opportunity from an email. Okay, and this is going to be similar to your activity. What your default for activity type is, this will be your default opportunity settings when creating an opportunity from an email. So you get the process, your stage, your product, the quantity, and how many days into the future for your estimated close date. This will exclude contacts here. There's contact exclusion settings. Okay, so if you want to have us exclude certain contacts for having history recorded, you would choose the Act field from your database list here, from your field list, I'm sorry, in your database, and then whatever values in that field. So maybe ID status is employee. You don't want any recordings on employees of the company, or competitor or vendor, whatever the case may be. It can be any field, it can be any value, and then we'll exclude those people when it's recording that history.
Yeah, that was a customer requested feature where they had specific confidential clients that they did not want history recorded to, so other users can see it. That was a good idea.
Yep. Anybody with questions on these tabs and or settings for Act database settings before we move forward?
Yeah, and this is just for inbound, Michael?
Hey, Steve. For the context exclusion?
Well, the field mapper.
The field mapper is for when you're creating a client, you're creating a contact. It's going to bring over this information as best it can, map it as best as it can. So you'll have the option to create that in Act.
And also just to add on to that, Ken. Also, if you have contact sync going on between
correct,
Act4mail
of
and
course.
Outlook, this will do the mapping as well there. So that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen here.
Also, the history exclusion is for outbound as well. So if you've got a contact in there that is sensitive and you don't want the history recorded to it so other people can see it, that field value will prevent it from recording either inbound or outbound.
Did that answer your question, Steve?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you bet. Anybody else on these things for right now? No. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and create an activity before I get to the sync. I'm going to do a couple of things with the emails. Okay. So we got this email. This person wants to do some training next week. So we're going to create the activity from this email. So we'll, just like Act4Outlook, it's a right click, and you're going to have these options for your right click. Okay. So we have quick attach email. So if we select that, it's going to find that email address in Act, attach it to that person's history. Send email to Act. Just show you what that does. Brings up the send to Act screen, allows you to choose company, groups, opportunities, or contacts to link it to, and then whatever type of history you want, and then it's going to put it on that record accordingly. Create contact. So if this person was not in Outlook, we can create the new contact. It's going to create that person in Act. Create activity. We'll skip that for a second because that's what we're going to do. But create opportunity. Okay, so as we see here, my record's already in this, so that's why it says link to Michael Gmail. The name is going to be the subject, so that's going to be your opportunity name. You can obviously change that if you need to. And then here's the default as we set in the settings there. Okay, here we'll just create that in there just to show you how that gets created. Now, one that we don't see that you see with the Act4Outlook is go to contact. Okay, that one is specific to Act4Outlook because it's a local thing. It cannot, because you don't really have to be logged into the web for this to work. So it doesn't know where you're logged in. Obviously, if you're logged in, what browser, what computer, what have you. So that's why go to contact is not a viable option for
Or create lookup with multiple email selections.
Correct. So if you had multiple email selections in Act4Outlook, there was a create lookup. It looked them all up. And then we also had look up the domain. So if you had an email from somebody at keystroke.ca, it would find you all the contacts at that domain. So those are the three things that you really, basically anything that's sort of looking up something in Act, you can't do that. Okay. But let's go ahead and create this activity in Act. Okay. So it always brings it up. The date and time is today's date, today's time. So we just, if this guy wants it next week, we adjust it to that time. You make it timeless, private, whatever your activity type wants to be. How, if you want to set an alarm, priority, who it's scheduled for. The regarding is once again is going to pull it from the subject. You can change that if you want to. If you schedule a meeting in Outlook, that'll put it in Outlook and also allow you to send an invite then to that person. Okay, so we'll just show you how that works. You can put your location, and then it's going to link to anybody who has link it to anybody who has that email address. Okay. And then your details will be whatever the details of that email are. Okay. Hit create. And then there's that invite. Because I clicked that schedule in Outlook, there's that invite to go out as well. Okay. Click that. Send. So now let's also reply to this email so we show you how the email gets recorded. So we're going to reply to it. And once again, similar to Act4Outlook, we have three buttons. Well, the one's already part of Outlook, the regular send button. But we have the send and link. Allows you to send the email to whoever's in this to field, and then link it to either that person and or somebody else, or just somebody else totally completely, and not link it to this person. Okay. And then send without attaching. That'll send the email, not record the email, just send it off to that person, and there's no history recorded. If we hit the regular send, it's going to record based upon whatever settings you have in those original settings we showed you. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's go ahead and bring up our Act database. Okay, so here's that training on the 25th. Okay, we go to history or opportunities. We should see an opportunity there. Is that one we just created today? And if we go to history, we'll see a couple things, and there's the email sent. Okay. Any questions on that part of the thing, whether it be sending emails, the right click, creating activities, opportunities? Anything yet? Okay. All right. So next thing I want to move on to is the sync part of things. Okay. So let's go to our sync settings. And there's two independent syncs that you can do. You can do activity, so calendar sync, and contact sync. They're not tied together at all. They're two individual things. So you can do just activities or just contacts or both. And then you also have the ability to do sync direction, either Outlook to Act, Act to Outlook, or two-way for both of the activities and contact sync. You can also enable automatic sync so that it syncs and then you would choose the interval as far as how often it's going to sync. Okay, or you can just do it manually whenever you want it to do it. For the activities, you choose sort of how far in the past you want to go with your activities, and then also for the future, how far in the future you want to go from the current date with your syncing of activities as well. The contact sync, very similar up here. You can do the automatic sync. You can do the Outlook to Act, Act to Outlook, or two-way sync. And your intervals for the automatic sync, if you have that checked, that's where you select your intervals. One addition
the
here.
big difference, yes.
Yeah. The big difference here is you choose what you want to sync here as far as your contacts. So it's not going to send everything, all right? It's just going to send whatever group you've selected. So you have to select a group. You can't do it based upon a query, okay, in here. But once again, we all know that you can create dynamic groups based upon queries. So, somebody asks, well, can I do it based on lookup? Say, well, technically not here, but you can do it within Act because you create the group based on a dynamic query, which is basically a lookup, okay? So you create your group however you want, whether it's static or dynamic, and then you choose your group that you want to sync from your drop down of groups here. Okay. If you wanted everybody, you create a group in Act, all contacts, and then you sync everybody. Okay. And if you sort of like want to do a do-over, so to speak, you can clear the last sync date down there, so this way you don't have to worry about it just sending updates from a certain particular date, so to speak. In the same fashion, you can also clear your entire Outlook calendar and or entire Outlook contacts if you sort of want to start over. As you see the warning there, that's irreversible. So you want to, proceed with caution and either have a backup of your Outlook data or a separate folder or whatever, so that in case you made a mistake here or something, you can retrieve it from your backup with that. So, but this allows you basically sort of to clear, if a person wanted to just say, you know what, all my good stuff's in Act. I have stuff in Outlook, but some of the stuff was in Act as well, and everything else is just garbage. I'm bringing just my Act calendar over, and I want to move forward from there. That's sort of a reason why you would do that. Similarly with the contacts, maybe they have all kinds of duplicate contacts in Outlook, but they know that their Act contact list, that's good. They've gone through there, they've cleaned it out. That's where all the good stuff is. They clear out Outlook, and it brings over all the good stuff from Act, and now they have the good stuff in their Outlook. So, because that's really good. Because here's another reason for that. Because some people might want to just use Outlook to get to their phone. If they have Exchange, they can get Exchange right to their contact list in their phone, and this is sort of a good way to clean that list up if they have, everything. Like I said, everything is good in Act, so to speak. All right.
So
I didn't make any changes.
Just one second. I was multitasking for a second. So if you said this, I apologize. But have you covered recurrences for activity syncing?
Yeah, so if you note here, I think I might skip that. Thanks. Note, so recurring activities are not support, so they don't even come over in any kind of syncs. So just to make everybody aware of that.
However,
Too many errors.
however, you can go into your Outlook calendar, right click, and send them on over to Act. Okay, and obviously you can't do it
or vice versa.
in. Well, no, remember with the Windows
sorry.
client, with Windows client you can do it with Act for Outlook, but for Outlook, you can right click and send it to Act, and then actually hold on. Yeah, there isn't. Yeah, you would have to. The bottom line is you have to create the recurrence inside of Outlook. So you would send it, if you had something in Outlook, you would send it over to Act. Act for Outlook allows you to go into both calendars, right click. Obviously, you can't do a right click in the my.act.com interface. But if for any reason something syncs over from Act that is a recurrence, it will go over as a one time, and you will have to go in and edit that recurrence to occur on an ongoing basis. And the simple reason is that it would create a ton of duplicates.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Ken. And then when you're ready to sync, you would do hit the sync now button to sync. So let's see if I don't think I have any contacts in here. No. Okay, so we should get, let's see how many contacts I have in my list. So that group was Act4mail syncing contacts. So I have a handful. I think there's 11 contacts. Okay. So let's go ahead and sync. We'll do the contacts first. So we sync now, contacts. And it just prompts you, do you really want to sync? Yes. Then as you see here, they get pulled into your Outlook. Okay. And then I'm going to do the calendar.
And just to reiterate while he's doing that, if anyone's saying, why would I use an add-on if Nihilus is supposed to do the same thing? Remember, the contact sync with Nihilus is one time. So anyone that's added to your database after that will not be synced over, nor, as I understand it, will any edits to that contact.
Yes.
Act for Outlook provides ongoing sync.
You are correct. Okay, so sync now, calendar. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. And this test call, I had put that was in Act, or I'm sorry, my APC. That's why we see that come in there. Okay. So, any questions on the sync? Will it be contact or calendar sync?
Hi, Michael.
Yeah.
Yep. So in contact sync, can we add an option so that we can select more than one group? Right now, it actually synchronizes a single group.
Just one group. So what you would do is just combine. If you have multiple groups, you would create a new group and combine those groups into one.
Yeah, because I've recently came across a customer who only wants to synchronize two specific groups from Act. So I ended up setting them up with the native integration, so that actually enabled them to basically synchronize contacts from two particular groups, basically not merging or anything like that, just that two simple groups.
Well, now if they're OrangeCare customers, you can set this up with them, and you just need to create a new group that includes the contacts, dynamic or otherwise, from those multiple groups. Because you can set them up on the native one, but their expectation will be a sync is a sync. It's ongoing. It's not I don't consider a one-time sync async. I consider that a push. Okay, so this is something that you need to explain to the customer so you control expectations so that they can make the right choice.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
I've got another one, Michael.
Yeah.
The situation where a client has Act contacts and personal contacts. When you use Act4mail to delete all contacts, it will delete everything, right?
Yes.
Including right. Okay,
The good, the bad, the ugly. Yes. So that
yes,
is that. Well, that's it's good to have that club in your bag, but it's not meant to be the only club you use, right? So
right,
if
right,
if you've got people that treat Outlook and Act like the separation of church and state, where all their business contacts are in one and their personal contacts in another, then we're not going to recommend that they do a merge and purge.
right. You would probably export the personal ones, get the sync set up, and then import the personal ones back in.
Yep.
But never hit that button.
No, because if it's not duplicated in the other one, then yeah, you're going to be making a lot
Right,
of apologies.
right. And again, Act4mail, and we've got, as you said, Ken, locally installed uh, Office or Outlook.
It's got to be locally installed. Yeah, if you don't have Outlook installed, Act4mail will not install. As Lubs has demonstrated, all the
Right,
configuration settings are within Outlook. I actually tell people it's more of an Outlook plugin than it is an Act plugin.
right,
Okay, so just tell people for web and we don't have to be all things to all people. Karthik wouldn't be wrong if the person had a webmail client, if Outlook.com, Gmail.com, whichever, then it's good to have that backup. But this is something we know that most people are using Outlook, and this provides, in my opinion, a better, more reliable solution.
Now, if they are also an Exchange user,
hmm
Outlook and Exchange will talk to each other
hmm
and put the contacts in their Exchange
and on their mobile
profile as
devices.
well.
Yep, and then they'll get their activities, they'll get their contacts on their mobile devices as part of that. Yeah, that's a good advantage for many people.
Well, and I've asked this a couple of times in one of the channels, but this looks like it could potentially replace that problematic companion link. Um, I mean, if all they want to get is user IDs, caller IDs on their
Right.
phone, this is a great way of doing it.
The other thing I haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about this, but one of the reasons that we're doing this is we're migrating a ton of customers over to Act Premium Cloud. We did 400 last year. We're going to do 400 or more this year. There is a very, very good Act Premium Cloud mobile client available. It's not Act Companion, obviously. It is Act Premium Cloud Mobile. It is not handheld contact, but it is free. And, we're making the majority of our money on Act Premium Cloud or Act in general. So we are certainly promoting it. There are cases where people need access to custom fields. There are cases where people need access to offline data, those kinds of things. Handheld contact is a perfect fit for them. But if they're an APC customer and we're introducing, Act4mail as part of their Orange Care and their APC subscription, definitely don't blush with offering Act Premium Cloud Mobile. It's a decent offering, okay? And for something that came out in like May or June, it's made a lot of improvements, okay? And for people that need more, we could sell them more. But I always tell them it's an extra level of access that they're getting for the same or less. So Lubs, can you show us mail merge?
Yeah. So before I go there, Steve, I'm not sure if you're watching what I was doing when we were talking about this, but as far as that personal stuff, I created a folder here called personal, and from the contact list, I dragged those 3 people there into that personal list, and I went into Act4mail sync settings, deleted clear all contacts, and it deleted everybody from that main contacts folder, as you see here, but it kept those personal ones. So that's another way to keep your personal ones in there, or all of them. If you want, you can just drag all of them into a separate folder. If you weren't sure, then go and clean them up later. So it just, when you do that clear off, it just deletes it from that main contact folder, not any subfolders.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to doing some mail merge here. So let's open up the standalone app here. So just Act4mail, easy to find. Okay. And let's go to our settings. This is where your settings are in Act4mail. So this, once again, this is totally independent of what we just did in Act4Outlook. Okay. They're both installed at the same time. You don't have to do anything special to install this. They both do install at the same time. But the settings for each are totally separate of each other, totally independent of each other. Okay. So let's go to settings here. So the one thing here is your templates. They're not stored in the web because that just can't happen, I guess, with the API. So by default, they're stored locally, and you can make that whatever folder you want. Or if you're in a shared environment, you could have a shared folder. If you have 10 people there that are using APC, and there's a shared network drive, and you all want to share templates, you can certainly do that. Right now, I just have it on my C drive in a demo folder, but obviously that can be anywhere you want it to be. Context exclusion. So for people, if you don't want to email certain people, you would fill whatever field you've decided here. I just chose last results, but you could have like a do not email. We have, I think, our castle field in our database still. So whatever fields you want to have as your permission field, and then whatever value you want in there, so that even if they are in a group that you're emailing to, they will not get the email because they're part of this exclusion setting here. This is where you would set up your email settings. Okay, so we have, once again, SMTP, Microsoft or Google. Let's just make sure my connection is still there. It's not. So if you get an error message when you test connection, just hit OK, and you'll just have to re-sign in to get your authentication.
Now, does everyone understand why you have to have your email settings set up independently in this? And it's because we're not using Outlook to send the emails. We're communicating directly with the email servers.
Okay, so it's authenticated. It's successful. I can close this page. Okay, and now it's successful.
Okay, I have a stupid question. Sorry. So when we use Microsoft account, that's if they have Exchange, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And if we're doing POP, then they have to use SMTP no matter who their POP is through, GoDaddy, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Google, of course, is Gmail.
Yeah, basically the last two use open authentication, and the first one use basic authentication.
Okay.
So it's more of a handshake than exchanging, port settings and passwords and logins.
And you would find that out under Outlook, under account settings. You could infer what they have because my users aren't going to know. And,
As far as their SMTP settings, Steve?
SMTP or whether, I got some users and I include myself. I don't have a Microsoft account. I refuse to do that.
So if you go under account settings, it does say Exchange. Like if they don't know if they're Exchange or POP or whatever, when you do the account settings, that tells you what you are.
Yep, right there.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. And then history settings, whatever history type you want when sending the email, you select that from the drop down there. Okay. So those are your settings. Act API settings, this is where you choose your database. And Kim, maybe we should add that those lists here as well, maybe.
Yep,
Just to make
not a
it
bad idea.
Yeah. And I don't. Is Cappy working anymore, or do we still have that for some people?
I don't really want to keep pushing it. There's not enough people out there.
Okay, so maybe remove that if we don't need it.
Yeah.
But similar to what we saw in the Outlook setup here with Act4mail. So once again, API URL, database name, Act username, Act password. Okay. Let's just log in and make sure, and we're good. So those are the two sort of settings, so to speak, that you need to have in there. Okay. So next thing you need to do is either have a template directory, which I have a couple templates in there. But let me just show you how to create and or edit an existing one. So Act4mail, right? This is if we want to merge to it. But before we do that, I just want to show you how you manage the templates. It's the same template editor that you've seen with like Notifier, custom tables. If you use Mail Manager for Act, Mail Merge for Act, it's the same sort of template editor. So we go Act4mail, manage templates. Okay, so there's our template editor in the background. Automatically defaults to your template folder that you have set in your settings. And then I've created one based upon insurance. So let me just show you the field that I'm going to be merging on, so to speak. So let's go to groups. Just so you get a visual of this. Okay, so these fields here, this like insurance fields. So I have these 5 contacts that have data in there, so I can merge. Basically, I'm just merging their insurance information. Make it nice and simple, something that might be real life situation. Okay, so I created an insurance info template. Let's open it up. And as you see here, you can have colors in your template. Okay, you can make it a table as I did here. And so this, hello, it's going to put their first name in there. And then over here we have just the different fields and what it's going to equal there. Okay. Let's see. I'll just put in here. Let's add a new one here. And let's just put in their create date in there. So we choose over here where it says in search merge field contact. As you notice here, there's only 3 options for where you can pull from. So the contact, the my record if you want to pull your information, and then an opportunity. Okay, you don't have any can't merge custom table data or company data.
Also, Shannon brought up a good question recently. It doesn't have any of the linktivity merge fields either. So you're not able to merge forms in where, forms will have the contact data pre-populated. That's only in mail merge.
Yep, thanks, Ken. So I'm going to insert the create date field in there. Okay. And then you see you can even have graphics if you like. Okay. Which is really nice for these mail merges. Always great to have graphics in your emails.
And I was complaining about Karthik's attitude. Yours seems to be worse.
Alrighty. So once you made your changes, you can either save it to overwrite the existing one or save as to create a new one. Let's just go ahead and save it. Close this down. Okay, now we're back at the Act4mail button. There we go. And now we're going to send that out via merge. Okay. So we go to the Act4mail menu. We can merge to Word or merge to email. We're going to do merge to email. Takes us to our template folder. We choose our template we want to merge to. And then now we're going to choose who we're sending this to. 3 options. Selected contacts. So if we have that chosen on the next page here, let me just jump ahead. We're going to do a group, but let me just show you what happens if you have selected contacts. It allows you to choose. So you just, pick the people you want to get this. And if you could find somebody up here, you can just type in their name and it'll find them. Okay.
So the important thing to note here is this is where you do your lookup. Okay, so the one difference of workflow is that within the Windows client, you would do the lookup, you would click on write, mail merge, and so on and so forth. Now you're doing the contact selection at the end. Okay, so just make note of that so that people kind of understand that that's a slight shift in workflow.
Yep.
They really would need to create a group, or does it work with dynamic groups too?
It works with any kind of groups. It's
Okay.
based on the API, so the API will work with any groups. But in my experience, a lot of people kind of complain about having to populate groups in advance because that's otherwise they would think, why wouldn't I use AMA? But if
But
you've
this
got
way they can't search on ID status or anything in there. In this way, they'd have to go through individually and choose them, right?
correct, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a much more of a cherry picking approach. You can't do an advanced query, but um, yeah, I'm guessing that that is interesting. I wonder if we can do an advanced query.
So right now it's just name, company, or email is what this search is for right here.
Okay.
But add it to the feature list there, Ken.
I'm typing it in right now.
Perfect. All right. So this is the way, as Ken said, to just sort of cherry pick the ones you want. So I'm just going to remove these people. We're going to go back. The other option is all contact, which is going to send it to your whole database. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to just send it to a contact and then the group I've created for test merging. I think there was like 6 people in that group, maybe 5 people. So Act4mail test merging. We hit next. You know what would also be cool, Ken, while you're rating feature requests?
What's that?
Maybe give the total number of people in that group here. That shows in case you choose a wrong group or something, or bring up on the next page. Maybe bring up that list of people that it has in
Okay.
that group, so you know.
Okay.
Just because, yeah.
Because you misfire on that. That's something you can't walk back.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so here's where you put in your email subject. So let's say I want to get this maybe more customized to that or personalized to each person. I can actually enter their name into this subject. So we're going to insert the contact name. Apostrophe S, and then insurance info. Okay. We can CC or BCC additional people if we want to. So if we need to send this maybe to the manager, we can send it to him and or her. And if you just want, if you had 100 here that were going out, you didn't want to have all 100 sent out to that person. You could just have that initial email sent so that you have an idea of, hey, what's being sent out to these people. Okay. Then go next. This is if you want to change the reply to address. So maybe you're emailing from just a general email account, service@kqc.ca, but any replies you wanted to go to Michael K at KQC or Ken at KQC or whatever, you would change the reply to, put in that reply to address. When the people reply, it's going to go to that whatever address you've established there. If sending out more than 25 at a time, you want to split them up into smaller batches. Okay, usually 25 emails per batch, and delay 30 seconds is sort of a good recommendation for that. I know there's only 5 in here, so I'm not going to worry about doing that for this one. And then this is if you want to add any attachments, so a PDF file, Word file, Excel, whatever, you can attach that. Actually, multiple attachments to the file here, or to the merge if you want to. If not, you just leave it as it is. Don't touch it. And then, do you want to record the history, and what history type do you want to have in there as well for the history recording? And here it's just going to say, okay, everything is going to happen. It's going to be sent out. Click next to start sending them. There goes those emails. And all those people have the same email address, that black hole email. So this way I can just, we'll show you the email come here in Outlook in a second. Here we go. So each of these people, as you see, gets populated here.
Perfect images.
Absolutely. Images are great.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I'm buying insurance from this guy all day long.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I noticed with the date fields, it puts in the time as well. I've submitted it as a bug because I don't think people would want that necessarily if they're merging date fields to have a time on there. So I have submitted that because I think we just want the date for that.
I think that may be an API issue, but we'll look into that. Shannon?
So this solves that problem if somebody wants to just do a mail merge, if email's working fine or whatever, they can still use this to do a print merge and or an email mail merge. Okay, and if I'm sending it to Word, it records history as well.
Here, let's go ahead and do it.
Oh, and can I convert an ADT template, like if they had local templates, or is this they have to recreate everything brand new?
We could do that for them if they have support with our mail merge program, or if they had it, but you would need the mail merge program for that to happen.
Okay, so mail merge would allow us to convert it. Then we'd have the 4 TPLs. They can put it whatever folder they want. Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
I have a quick question. So if they create all this template, they cannot share with the other user?
Yes, they can. So if they're on a shared network, they can do it that way. Or if they're in different places, then they would have to email it to whoever it is. If they're not on the shared network,
They can send the template to. Would they send the template by email if they're not on the share network?
Is that what you asked? How?
Yeah.
Oh, just attach the file. So, so that folder that you have designated, easiest way is just right click and share.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, just like any attachment. Then on their end, when they get it, they would need to download it to whatever their folder that they have set up on their side as their template folder.
Okay.
Yep. Well, my Word did not work for some reason. It looked like there was a permission error or something there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Let's see. Let's try that again. All right, I want to do some more testing with that Word to make sure I'm wondering if it's my machine or something specific with the program. So, to find that out about that for Shannon.
So the good news is that he can take the query editor that's in the notifier and add that in. He's really excited about that. But he doesn't think that there is an endpoint to calculate the number of contacts.
Gotcha.
You could also have the client take Outlook offline and go ahead, do your send, and then look at it in the outbox before it goes. I had to do that with a client recently. It worked great. He felt better about it rather than just sending all at once. So.
Okay.
All right, that's pretty much what we set out to cover today. So just wanted to see if there's any questions anybody might have on what we covered, whether it be the one Act4mail within Outlook or the sort of standalone Act4mail app that we just showed you just here.
Okay, stupid question number 2, because sorry, I got distracted. How did you get to the mail merge part?
You just typed in Act4mail in the search button.
Yeah, you can do that. It'll show up there, or if you go to your programs.
Okay. So that gets installed when you do.
It's right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah, it's not separate. Yeah, so just a reminder, it's not when you install Act4mail, it's not like a separate installer or anything, or a checkbox. When you install Act4mail, it installs the part that goes in Outlook, and it also installs this separate part as well, this separate app. So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And by the way, Austin's also going to set it up so that the API settings that you put in the plugin get carried forward to this utility. So it's a one-time thing. You don't have to do it in both places.
Okay.
Still a 14-day trial?
Yep. We're not expecting people to spend a whole lot of time rigorously trying something they'll get free fulfillment of with Orange Care, but yes, there is still a 14-day trial.
Okay. Oh, is there an Act4mail Slack channel by any chance? I couldn't find one.
I don't believe there is.
Support are the best place for that.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, there's an Act for Work one. I suppose you can use that if need be. But I don't know who's in that. So, in fact, there's only 4 people in that, so don't use that one.
Yeah, I would just put in support. That's where you can get the best response.
Yeah.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, guys. Thank you all. Thank you, Lubs.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I thought that was a really, really good review, and maybe it will stop Karthik complaining about hearing the sound of my voice all the time. So both are good objectives. Thank you all. Take care.